It was a quiet Saturday morning in the small neighborhood of Willow Creek. Birds chirped, leaves rustled gently in the wind, and the sun cast a warm, golden glow on the neat houses lined up along the street. Among them was a modest home with a freshly cleaned driveway, trimmed bushes, and a sparkling front porch. This was the house of Alex, a young man who loved peace, order, and a calm life. Today, he had plans to enjoy his morning coffee on the porch, listening to the soft hum of the neighborhood. Alex had lived in Willow Creek for 3 years, and for the most part, life had been quiet. The neighbors were polite, and everything seemed normal until now. Lately, there had been whispers about a new HOA officer moving into the neighborhood. People called her Karen, though no one said it aloud to her face. Rumors spread fast. She was strict, very particular about rules, and had little patience for anyone who even slightly bent them. Alex never thought much about it. Rules are rules, he often said to himself. He always kept his property clean and followed the community guidelines. His driveway was spotless, the lawn perfectly trimmed, and his mailbox upright. He thought he was safe from any trouble. But that morning, something felt different. As Alex sipped his coffee, he noticed a woman across the street walking briskly toward his house. She was tall, dressed sharply, and wore a frown that seemed permanently fixed on her face. Her heels clicked loudly on the pavement, each step echoing in Alex's ears like a warning bell. Alex squinted and realized it was her. The new HOA officer, Karen. Karen stopped at the end of the driveway, hands on her hips, staring as if she were inspecting a crime scene. Alex tried to hide behind his coffee mug, but it was too late. Karen's piercing eyes had found him. "Good morning," Alex said, trying to sound cheerful. Karen didn't answer immediately. She took a slow step forward, looking down at the driveway. Her expression hardened. Alex noticed that she wasn't just looking, she was judging. "Your driveway," Karen said finally, her voice sharp and precise, "it's unacceptable." Alex nearly spit out his coffee. "Excuse me," he asked, bewildered. "You know exactly what I mean," she replied, tapping her finger on the spotless concrete. "It's against the HOA rules." Alex blinked, confused. He had always followed every HOA guideline to the letter. "It's clean." "There's nothing wrong with it," he said cautiously. Karen's frown deepened. "That doesn't matter. There's a slight mark near the edge. A small stain. And the alignment of your car is not perfect. People notice these things. I notice these things. This is my job." Alex wanted to laugh, but something about Karen made it impossible. She didn't smile, and her eyes carried a sharp intensity that made him feel nervous. "Look," he said slowly, trying to calm her, "I clean my driveway every week. I make sure everything is perfect. Maybe you could." "No. This is serious," Karen interrupted. "I've already taken pictures. I'm reporting this to the HOA office. And if it doesn't get fixed, there will be consequences." Alex felt his stomach drop. Consequences? For a tiny, almost invisible mark on his driveway? He tried to stay calm. "It's just a small stain. I can clean it," he said. Karen shook her head. "It's not just the stain. It's the principle. I expect perfection. And I expect compliance. That driveway, it's a problem." Alex sighed and nodded, unsure what else to say. Karen gave a final, sharp look at the driveway, then turned on her heel and marched away. Her heels clicked loudly on the pavement again, like an echo following him. For a moment, Alex felt frozen. This had started so small, so quietly, but now it felt like a storm was coming. He took another sip of his coffee, trying to ignore the tight knot forming in his chest. Something told him this wouldn't end with just one complaint. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains and from across the street, whispering and pointing. Alex waved politely, but inside, he felt a growing sense of dread. Karen had made her mark. And somehow, he knew, the calm of Willow Creek was about to be shattered. Little did Alex know, that small incident, one harmless stain, one minor imperfection, would soon spiral into something much bigger. The driveway, his pride and peace, had become the target of an obsession.
And Karen? She was just getting started. The morning after the first encounter, Alex woke up with a feeling he couldn't shake off.
It was the kind of uneasy feeling you get when something small turns into a problem you can't ignore. He stepped outside with his coffee, expecting the quiet neighborhood he loved, but instead, he saw something that made his stomach drop. There, at the edge of his driveway, was a stack of papers. They weren't ordinary flyers or mail. The top one had his name written in bold letters, and the words HOA violation made his heart race.
Alex picked it up carefully, reading every line. Karen had officially filed a complaint about the driveway.
Seriously, he muttered to himself. The driveway was clean, spotless even. He had spent hours making sure it looked perfect. Yet, here it was, a formal complaint waiting for him like a ticking time bomb. Before he could even process it, a sharp knock echoed on his door. Alex opened it slowly, and there she was, Karen, standing like she owned the neighborhood.
She didn't smile.
Her sharp eyes scanned him from head to toe, and her arms were crossed, her stance aggressive, almost military. "I see you received my notice," Karen said, her voice low but firm. "I expect this to be fixed immediately." Alex rubbed the back of his neck.
"It's just a small mark. I can clean it, but it's really not a big deal."
Karen tilted her head, as if that was the most ridiculous thing she had ever heard.
"Not a big deal? Alex, this is about following the rules.
Everyone in this neighborhood must follow them.
You can't ignore this." "I can't ignore this." Her tone was sharp, almost theatrical, and it made Alex realize something. Karen wasn't just concerned about the driveway, she was obsessed.
And her obsession was dangerous.
Neighbors started peeking through curtains again. Some whispered, others shook their heads, but all eyes seemed glued to Karen's relentless energy.
Alex tried to stay calm, but every word she said felt like a hammer pounding against his patience.
Karen continued pacing, circling the driveway, inspecting it like a detective.
She knelt down to look closer at the stain, pointing at it with her perfectly manicured finger.
"Do you see this? This could become a bigger problem if left alone."
"Rules are rules, Alex.
You must understand that." Alex swallowed hard.
I understand," he said slowly. "I'll take care of it."
Karen didn't relax.
In fact, her eyes sharpened.
"I've already contacted the HOA office. They are aware of your violation. They may visit, and if this isn't fixed, you could face fines. You understand the consequences, right?" Alex felt his chest tighten.
He had never imagined a clean driveway could bring police, fines, or neighborhood drama into his life. Karen's phone buzzed, but she ignored it. She glanced at him once more and said, "I will be checking daily."
"Don't think this is over. I notice everything. Always."
Then, without waiting for a response, she turned and left, heels clicking like a warning drumbeat down the street. Alex closed the door slowly, leaning against it.
He felt a mix of anger and disbelief. How could a tiny imperfection lead to this much chaos? But a small, uneasy thought crept into his mind: Karen wasn't going away. Not easily. He looked at the driveway one more time. It was perfect. Spotless.
But now it felt like a battlefield, each concrete crack and every minor stain a potential trigger for Karen's next attack.
That day, Alex realized something important: he couldn't ignore her.
He had to stay alert, document everything, and prepare for the storm that was coming. Karen had started small, but Alex had a feeling she would escalate, and fast. As he sipped his coffee and stared at the driveway, he whispered to himself, "This can't get any worse, can it?"
But deep down, Alex knew the answer: it absolutely could.
Alex woke up to the sound of his phone buzzing non-stop.
Groaning, he reached over and glanced at the screen.
There were multiple messages, emails, and even a missed call.
Every single notification was from Karen.
At first, he thought maybe it was a mistake. But as he scrolled, his heart sank.
Each message was more dramatic than the last. "Violation still not fixed," one read. Another, "Your driveway is a hazard to the neighborhood. Immediate action required." The last one simply said, "I am watching." Always.
Alex rubbed his eyes.
He had never experienced anything like this before.
The tiny mark on his driveway, the stain he had barely noticed himself, had turned into Karen's full-time mission.
It wasn't just about the driveway anymore, it was personal.
He stepped outside cautiously, trying to clear his head, when he noticed something strange.
Karen wasn't alone this time. She had brought her neighbor friends, or maybe just other HOA enthusiasts, to inspect the driveway. They circled it like detectives inspecting a crime scene. "Did you see this?" Karen whispered loudly, pointing at the same tiny stain. "If this isn't addressed, the HOA will take serious action. And I mean serious." Alex forced a smile.
"It's literally a small stain," he said, trying to stay calm.
"I can clean it in 5 minutes."
Karen narrowed her eyes.
"It's never just 5 minutes. Rules are rules. And everyone in Willow Creek must follow them."
He noticed a few neighbors peeking from behind windows, some whispering, some giggling at Karen's intensity.
It almost felt surreal, like he had stepped into a neighborhood drama instead of a quiet Saturday morning. As Alex started to explain, Karen interrupted him with a dramatic wave of her hand. "Don't talk. I am documenting everything. Every detail. Every angle. Every possible infraction. You will regret ignoring this." Alex stepped back, stunned. This wasn't a normal complaint, it was an obsession. And it was growing. Suddenly, Karen's phone rang again.
She answered it with a sharp, "Yes, I am here inspecting the violation."
"Yes, still not fixed. Immediate enforcement required."
She hung up and turned to Alex with a satisfied smirk.
"I've already reported this to the HOA board. They may visit today. And I've informed the local authorities, just in case. This is serious, Alex."
"Very serious," she said, her voice low, almost like a warning.
Alex's stomach dropped. The police? Over a driveway?
It seemed impossible, but Karen's determination was unnerving.
She wasn't bluffing.
He took a deep breath and decided he had to stand his ground. "Look, Karen," he said carefully, "I understand the rules.
I've always followed them. But this is too much. It's just a small stain.
I promise I'll take care of it."
Karen's smile was thin and sharp, almost like a blade. "Promises are not enough. Action is. And I will make sure the HOA and the authorities see it for themselves. Today, maybe even tonight." Alex felt trapped.
He had never imagined a clean driveway could turn into a battlefield. Every glance at the concrete felt tense.
Every shadow outside his window felt like a potential Karen watchtower.
That afternoon, Alex noticed neighbors gathering subtly, whispering to each other. It seemed the word had spread, Karen was on a mission, and Alex was the target. He realized then that this wasn't just about a stain anymore, it was about proving a point.
And Karen was determined to prove it, no matter what.
As the sun began to dip behind the trees, Alex took one last look at the driveway. It gleamed in the fading light, almost mocking him.
Perfect. Untouched. Untouchable, yet under threat.
Little did he know, Karen's obsession was about to escalate even further.
The next move would be unexpected, dramatic, and involve more than just HOA complaints.
It started with a quiet tap on the window.
Alex froze, his heart skipping a beat.
At first, he thought it was a branch brushing against the glass. But then tap, 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 3 firm knocks echoed from the front door.
His stomach tightened.
He peeked through the curtain and saw Karen standing there, her arms folded, eyes narrowed like a hawk. Behind her, the sunlight glinted off her clipboard, and the shadow of her raised phone made it look like she was ready to call reinforcements at any moment.
Alex took a deep breath and opened the door cautiously.
"Karen, what now?" he asked, already knowing the answer.
Karen didn't speak immediately.
Instead, she tilted her head, scanning the driveway as if searching for a hidden fault. "I came to check," she finally said. Her voice was calm, but the words carried a cold, dangerous edge. "I need to make sure no violation goes unnoticed."
You can't be too careful. Alex swallowed hard. It's clean.
I cleaned it this morning, he said, gesturing to the spotless concrete.
Karen's eyes narrowed. Is it clean, or do you just think it is? I need to inspect it myself.
She stepped forward, heels clicking sharply on the pavement, each step echoing like a drumbeat of impending doom.
Suddenly, she crouched, inspecting the tiniest cracks and uneven spots. Alex felt like his calm world was shrinking under her gaze.
Every inch of the driveway, every pebble, even the faint shadow of the tire marks, seemed to carry danger now.
You see this? Karen whispered loudly, pointing at a minuscule stain only visible if you were squinting. This is not acceptable. I can't allow this to continue.
Alex ran a hand through his hair. It's literally invisible to everyone else, he said, exasperated.
It doesn't matter.
Karen stood up, her voice rising slightly.
It matters to me. And it matters to the HOA. And if it matters to the HOA, it matters to the authorities.
Alex felt a cold chill run down his spine.
Authorities? Police?
He had followed every rule, he had done everything right.
Yet Karen's words planted a seed of dread.
And then, as if on cue, a loud siren blared in the distance.
Alex froze.
He stepped back as he realized what it meant.
A patrol car was speeding toward the neighborhood, lights flashing red and blue.
Karen smiled faintly, almost triumphantly.
I told you, she said softly. Sometimes, rules need reinforcement.
I always make sure violations are handled immediately.
Alex's eyes widened. The reality hit him like a brick. This was no longer a simple HOA complaint. Karen had escalated it to the police.
And now, within minutes, the authorities would be at his doorstep, inspecting a driveway for a tiny, almost invisible imperfection.
He looked at the clean concrete, trying to convince himself that nothing was wrong.
But Karen's sharp gaze, the distant wail of the siren, and the tense silence of the neighbors watching from behind curtains made him realize that nothing in Willow Creek would ever feel normal again.
He took a deep breath, steeling himself. There was no running, no ignoring, no pretending this was trivial. Karen had set the stage for a full-blown confrontation, and he was right in the middle of it.
Alex whispered to himself, almost in disbelief, it's just a driveway, but deep down, he knew the next few minutes would change everything.
Karen wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The quiet hum of the neighborhood shattered in an instant.
Alex heard the crunch of tires on gravel before he even saw the flashing lights. 2 patrol cars screeched to a stop in front of his house, their sirens silent but lights spinning wildly, painting the driveway red and blue. His heart raced. Karen stood at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed, chin high, looking like a general overseeing a battlefield. Finally, she said, almost smugly.
They've arrived. About time someone took this seriously.
Alex stepped outside slowly, hands raised slightly, trying to appear calm.
Hi, officers, he said, voice trembling. I don't understand. There's nothing wrong.
The 2 police officers got out of the cars, notebooks in hand. They looked around, scanning the scene. One of them, a tall man with kind eyes, spoke first.
Ma'am, what's the problem here? Karen marched forward, pointing at the driveway as if she were presenting evidence in a courtroom. This homeowner has a violation, she declared loudly. His driveway, it's unacceptable. I noticed a stain, a minor imperfection, and I reported it. It's a serious HOA offense. Alex blinked, struggling to believe what he was hearing. Stain?
That's it, he asked, incredulous. Karen's glare cut through him.
You think this is trivial? This is a matter of principle.
The rules are the rules, and everyone must comply.
The officers exchanged glances, clearly trying not to laugh. One of them, Officer Ramirez, knelt down and inspected the driveway carefully.
He squinted at the spotless concrete.
Then at Alex. Then at Karen. Ma'am.
I don't see a problem, he said slowly, trying to stay professional.
Karen's face tightened. You're not understanding. This is serious. He could be fined. Evicted. The HOA has rules, and rules must be enforced immediately. Alex felt a mix of relief and disbelief. Finally, someone saw how absurd this was, but Karen wasn't finished. She waved her hands dramatically. You don't get it. This is about safety, cleanliness, neighborhood standards. I am doing my duty. Officer Ramirez sighed, standing up and rubbing his temples. Ma'am, this is not a police matter. It's a HOA complaint. There's no law being broken here. The driveway, it's clean. There's literally nothing illegal. Karen's jaw dropped. Nothing illegal? How dare you say that? The HOA has authority. They can call the police for violations. Alex stepped forward cautiously. Officers, I've been trying to follow all HOA rules. I clean my driveway, maintain my lawn. Everything is in order. She's just obsessed with a tiny stain. The second officer, a younger woman, gave Karen a polite but firm look. Ma'am, we need to go. There's nothing here for us to enforce. If there's a real crime, call us again. But a clean driveway is not a crime. Karen's face turned red. She opened her mouth, clearly about to argue, but no words came out. She looked around at the neighbors who were now watching from behind curtains and trees. Their amused and bewildered expressions made her scowl even more. Finally, she turned sharply on her heel and stormed off, muttering about rules being ignored and this neighborhood going downhill. Her heels clicked furiously on the pavement, fading into the distance. Alex let out a long, shaky breath, leaning against the garage. His chest was pounding, adrenaline still coursing through him. The police gave him a small nod, then returned to their cars and drove away. For the first time in hours, the driveway felt like his again. Spotless, peaceful, untouched, but forever marked in his memory as the center of chaos. Alex glanced at the empty street where Karen had disappeared. He thought it was over. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Karen didn't quit. And whatever she had planned next, it was going to be even crazier. The next morning, Alex woke to an eerie silence. The street seemed normal, but he knew better. Karen's obsession didn't disappear just because the police had left. In fact, he suspected she was planning her next move, something bigger, something dramatic. As he stepped outside with his coffee, he froze. There she was. Karen. Standing at the end of his driveway like a commander waiting for battle. Her arms were crossed, eyes sharp, and her clipboard clutched tightly in one hand. Behind her, a few neighbors had gathered, whispering quietly, their curiosity barely hidden. Alex sighed. Here we go again, he muttered. Karen didn't greet him. Instead, she pointed dramatically at the driveway. I've been watching, and it's still unacceptable, she declared. I've checked with the HOA, and they agree this must be corrected immediately. You can't just ignore me. Alex ran a hand through his hair. Karen, I've cleaned the driveway every day this week. There's literally nothing wrong. Karen's eyes narrowed. Nothing wrong? Don't try to minimize this. This is about standards, order, and respect for the rules. And you, she pointed directly at him, are failing. He took a deep breath. Calmly, he said, look, I've followed all the HOA rules. I've documented everything. The driveway is fine. This obsession, it's gone too far. Karen's lips tightened, her face red with frustration. Obsession? This is my duty. Someone has to enforce the rules, or chaos will take over this neighborhood. And you, sir, are at the center of that chaos. Alex noticed the neighbors shifting uncomfortably. Some whispered in support of him. Some tried to hide their smiles at Karen's theatrics. He realized he wasn't completely alone. You know what? Alex said, stepping forward. If this is about the rules, then let's check them together. Let's follow them exactly. But if the rules are being misused to bully someone, that's not fair. And I'm not going to let you bully me anymore. Karen's jaw tightened. For a moment, she looked like she might argue, but then she noticed the HOA documentation Alex had on the table beside his car. Papers, dates, photos, receipts. Every driveway cleaning, every minor repair, every HOA update perfectly documented. Alex opened the folder slowly. See? Everything is by the book. Rules followed. Driveway spotless. No violation. Karen's face fell. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. The neighbors were now fully watching, some whispering, some quietly nodding at Alex. Even Karen's most loyal supporters looked unsure. The silence stretched. Finally, Karen muttered, "This isn't over, rules are rules," and turned sharply, storming off. Her heels clicked furiously against the pavement, echoing down the street. Alex exhaled slowly, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. The showdown was over, for now. He glanced at the driveway, gleaming in the morning light. Perfect, untouched, his small victory against chaos. As he sipped his coffee and watched Karen disappear around the corner, Alex whispered, "Finally, peace, maybe?" But deep down, he knew Karen's obsession could flare up again. And when it did, it would be even crazier than before. The neighborhood of Willow Creek had returned to its usual quiet, well, mostly. Alex stepped outside that morning, coffee in hand, and looked at his driveway. It gleamed in the sunlight, perfect and untouched, but it no longer felt like just concrete under his tires. It had become a battlefield, a symbol of surviving Karen's obsession. For days after the showdown, the street was buzzing quietly. Neighbors whispered about Karen's dramatic behavior, some secretly cheering Alex on, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Even from a distance, it was obvious Karen had lost the battle, at least for now. Alex took a slow, deep breath, savoring the calm. He had survived the relentless scrutiny, the HOA threats, and even the police visit. And he had learned something important: staying calm, documenting everything, and following the rules had saved him. As he walked to his mailbox, he noticed something unusual. Karen was standing at the end of the street again, clipboard in hand, eyes scanning, but this time she looked smaller. Defeated. She muttered something under her breath and stomped back toward her house. Alex smirked. The battle had ended, but Karen would always be Karen, dramatic, strict, and obsessive, but now harmless, at least for today. Alex chuckled to himself. Next time, maybe she should buy her own driveway, he whispered. The neighbors who had been watching from behind curtains laughed quietly. For once, Karen's theatrics had become the joke of the block. That evening, Alex sat on his porch, sipping his coffee and watching the sunset. He reflected on the chaos of the past week. It was strange, almost surreal, that a tiny stain on a driveway could lead to such madness. But the experience had taught him patience, resilience, and the power of staying calm under pressure. He glanced at the driveway one last time, spotless and quiet. The threat was gone, the police were gone, and Karen had been, for now, contained by rules and common sense. He smiled, realizing that peace didn't mean the absence of chaos, it meant knowing how to handle it. Alex looked toward the street, whispering to himself with a mix of amusement and relief, "Rules are rules, but sanity matters too." And as he sat back, he knew one thing for sure: no matter what Karen tried next, he would be ready.